loop. In while loop, it is used to execute a block of statements as repeatedly as long as the given condition is true. So we have to take some condition, and till that condition is true, the control will not be thrown out of this loop. It will be inside the loop, and all the statements written in while loop will get executed. Once the condition becomes false, the control will be thrown outside the loop, and then it will continue executing all other statements that is in the main part of the program. So when we should use the while loop, it is ideal when number of iterations are not known beforehand. We do not know that how many times we have to execute that particular loop. Suppose if you want to display a number and you have written a print statement. So fine, print you have written, but you want to display all the numbers from 1 to 100. So this print statement, you are not going to write 100 times. You will just write one time, and you will put this in the while loop. And in front of while loop, you will have to write a condition that this loop should get executed how many times? 100 times. So, but here in while, this thing is not known. So there are situations that the number of iteration is not, we are not aware of number of iterations which will be needed for this that particular program. And in that case, we have to write a condition. And then in this syntax, while expression statement. So expression is nothing but the condition. So whenever we write expression, it is nothing but the condition which we write using relational operators. And sometimes we also use logical operators. But the logical operator will always come between the two relational operators. And this is how the expression is made. So expression is nothing but it is a condition to be evaluated before each iteration. So this condition will get evaluated again and again, and till this condition remains true, the control will be transferred to these statements. They will be executed one after another, or if there is one single statement that will be executed and the control will go back to this. Again, it will check the condition. If true, again will go through this. But once the condition becomes false, then it will come out of the loop. So this is how while loop is executed. Let's see example. Now in this example, count equals to 0, while count is less than 3. Now initially you have initialized when we write, when we assign some value to a variable. See, instead of count, you can take any variable name. You know it very well. Even you can write your name. Computer has nothing to do with that. But then it will be very difficult to read it properly, and another programmers will get confused that what for you have used this count statement, right? So this count, we have taken count as, you can take C also, or C and T, whatever you want, but I have taken count. So count equals to 0, that means initially we have assigned value 0 to count. Now, while count less than 3, what is the condition? Count is less than 3. Till this is true, it will go inside the loop, and there are two statements written inside the loop, that is print, I am proud of my country, and count equals to count plus 1. So what will it do? It will go inside this, it will print, I am proud of my country, and after that, it will increase counter by 1. So you know that we can change the value which is stored in a variable at any stage of during execution. So at this stage, what we are doing, initially the count is holding the value 0, but here you are assigning a new value. You are adding 1 to it, so the count will be, this value will be 1. This expression will yield 1, and this one will be assigned to count. So while teaching you assignment operator, that time I have told you that you just remember that there is a memory space where some value is placed, and whenever you want to change the value of that variable, you can do so. The old value will vanish away and the new value will be placed there. So this is how it works. So count equals to count plus 1, and then again it will go for checking. Now count plus 1 means it is 1. again it will go inside, second time this will be printed, then count will again be increased by 1, it will become 2, then count is still less than 3, this will again will get printed, and when count becomes 3, so count is no more less than 3. It is equal to 3, but it is not less than 3, and therefore the control will be thrown outside, and there is nothing outside, so your program will stop. So this is the output you will get. So this is pictorial representation of pictorial representation of while statement. So when we enter into the loop, the expression is tested. That means the condition is tested. Till the condition remains true, the statements written in the loop will be executed, and they will go. After executing all these statements, it will go back to test the expression again, and this way the looping will take place. And then when the condition becomes false, it will exit from while loop and will join the main part of the program. And in earlier problem, the main part of the program, only one statement was written, that is print sum. Now, while with else. Now, this is while with else. Now, purpose is that the else clause, it can be used in while loop to execute a block of code when the loop condition becomes false. In earlier case, when we were not using else, the control was thrown outside the loop. But in this case, what will happen? If we are using else, then it becomes easy to understand that while till the condition is true. So I have written condition oblique expression so that you should not get confused. And if this is true, then execute M statements. So it will execute this set of statement if the condition is true. And if false, then the control will escape M statements, and the control will be transferred to else part, and there N statement. That means these set of statements will be executed. Now, in where expression, the condition to be evaluated before each iteration, then statement M is the block of code to be executed as long as the condition is true, and this is to be executed as long as condition is false. So this is the syntax of while with else. Now, okay, while with else. Okay, we will have to modify this. So in this again same, num equals to 1. So num is actually count, your count. And then we have taken it as a number. And then sum equals to 0. So definitely we are going to find summation of all 5 numbers. So while num is less than 5, sum equals to sum plus num. Now you understand this. And num equals to num plus 1. So print the sum after the loop completes. So no else statement is needed here. But if you can replace this with the statement, right? While num less than equals to 5, sum equals to sum plus num equals to num plus 1, else, print loop completed, task finished, sum equals to. So this you will have to replace with else. And after else, you have to put a colon. So do remember that. So how it gets executed? While else loop start, condition true, execute while loop, go back, check condition, looping continues. Now, if false, so in earlier case, what happened? If false, we have gone to main part of the program, but because we are using while else, so when it is false, it will go to else, and here you can, after else, here you can execute all the statements written and then go to end. Now, what is this? Suppose by mistake, if you are fixed and you get into infinite loop, then you will have to forcefully terminate the while loop. So now in next slides, we are going to see how infinite loops, how we get into infinite loop and how we should get out of it. Okay. Now, before using, always remember, before using what? Before using else in your this thing, purpose of else in while loop, it executes a block of code once only when the while loop condition becomes false. So when it is false, the control will be transferred to else part. Till it is true, this code block will get executed. And when this condition becomes false, then only it will go to else part, and then end block will be executed, and then it will go and join the main part of the program. Else is optional. If not needed, you can skip it. Now this is infinite while loop. This is I have taken just to explain you what is an infinite loop and how to avoid it. So a loop that runs indefinitely unless externally stopped is called as infinite loop. Now, you should look at this, that you should look at the condition and you should not write the condition or expression in such a way that the condition will never become false. Because if it is always true, you will never be able to come out. So it is your responsibility, a programmer's responsibility, to write a proper condition that whenever you want to exit from the loop, your condition should become false. If not, then you will see that your execution will go on, go on, go on. It will never, never, never stop. So while true, print that this loop runs forever. So while condition is true and you have not given any, criteria, you have not given any condition so that it should become false, because here if you are writing like this, there is no condition which will make it false, and therefore the loop will be repeated again and again. And what is the danger of infinite loop? It can freeze or crash your program, so you should be careful about it. And it should be used when specific use cases in mind, like server applications, so that you are not going to touch. Key takeaways are: use with caution and always have a way to exit loop safely. So this key takeaway is very, very important, and you have to remember always, because you are going to become a programmer. So during programming, you have to take note of this. So this is infinite loop. Going, 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 there's no way to come out. Key points to remember: while loop can be used with else for additional control flow. It provides, otherwise also we are going to main program, and there you can write the same statement, whatever you are writing after else, because even and it is false and it is going to else, it will execute those statements and will join the main stream. So nothing, I mean, in execution, if you are thinking about the execution, that how the control flow will be affected, no, it won't be affected. It is only for making your program more readable, more efficient, and of course, it gives ease of understanding that yes, true, then this is being executed, false, then else part is being executed. And always check loop conditions to avoid infinite loop that we have discussed. Then press Ctrl+C on your keyboard to terminate infinite loop. So this is how we will have to manage. Now next is for loop. The purpose of for loop is again iterating, that means repeating again and again over a sequence. So this is something new other than while loop, that it gives you facility to iterate over the sequence, a list, a tuple, a string, or a range, and execute block of codes for each element in that sequence. For each element in that sequence. So you will have to understand it in a better way. So please be attentive now. Once it's easy. Okay. So it simplifies the task that involves repetitive actions, such as many a times we have to perform, suppose if you are going for searching a number in the given list. So you will go to first element, then you will go to next, then will next, then to the next. So you will have to traverse from one to another element one by one. So in such cases, for loop is very, very useful. So it assists you for performing such kind of repetitive task. Task is repetitive, that you are going to that element and you are searching number, does it tallies with the number in hand, and then you want to say that yes, I got the number and this is the number I found in the list. But for doing this, for loop is a must. Now for loops are used for sequential traversal over a range. So this is repeated. This string and other iterable objects, and they are ideal when number of iteration is known. So this is the most important feature and peculiar feature of for loop, that this is ideal when the number of iteration is known. So in while loop, beforehand we don't have knowledge that whether it will be true or false. So if you use true and false there, so till it is true, you are going in and you are not sure when will you be coming out of it. But if you know very well that I have to repeat this loop 100 times, I have to repeat this loop 10 number of times, or my list contains n elements, so I will have to repeat this loop n number of times. My tuple contains n elements, items, I will have to repeat this loop n number of times. So in that particular case, we use for loop, because in for loop, many facilities are being given. So just I'm going to discuss it in the syntax, try to understand, and you will understand it better when we will solve the examples, programs. Now, this you can see that syntax is very, very simple. For iterator variable in sequence. So for an iterator variable is a variable in sequence. So sequence is either it is list or string or tuple or range. And then you have to write all the statements which you want to execute when it is traversing from one to last. So all those statements are to be written here. So you can see this is different than the while loop. Now let us see for. For is keyword to start the loop. What is for? For is the keyword to start the loop. Then iterator variable. This is the variable that takes the value of the next item. So if it is I, so if it is holding 1, then the next item will be at 2, so it will be incremented by 2 by 1 automatically. We don't have to bother. So this is iterator variable. Then in, this is used to specify the sequence, that it has to iterate over which sequence. So whichever sequence that is to be given after in. And what is sequence? Sequence is nothing but it is iterable objects such as, again and again I am repeating it, list, tuple, string or range. And code block, now you understand very well that it is the block of a number of statements which are written together in an intended way. Then we call it as a block of codes, or in general language it is called as compound statements. So let's solve. Iterate over. This is a very simple example I have taken. You will find it very easy and you will be able to understand. So iterate over a list of numbers and print each number. Now, when you are iterating over a list of numbers, that means list is a sequence. We have already seen that list is a which data type? It is under the, we have seen in that table that under sequence, list was there. So list is a sequence data type. And because all the elements are sequentially arranged, then I've taken what is this? LST. So LST is my variable, which I'm going to store list. So this variable is holding which values? 23, 87, 11, 100 and 2. So these are the elements which are the member of this list. And then now we are writing for loop, and it's very simple, and see how nicely it performs all the operations. Just write 2 statement and everything is done. We don't have to bother for initializing I or incrementing I. Nothing is to be done. For loop does it automatically. For loop does it automatically. So for I is iteration variable in. Now in which sequence? LST. Right? So I hope you got the syntax now. And then we have written simple statement print LST. Now when this will be executed, what will happen? The first it will print this, then again it will go back, and you don't have to increase the value of I. Neither you have to initialize it. It will be initialized with 0. Okay? And for 0, it will take value, first value. When I will become 1, it will take second value. When I will become 2, it will take 11. When I will become 3, it will take 100. And when I will become 4, it will take 2. Because we start with 0 by default. So we can't do anything. Therefore, you don't have to worry. We get habitual and we can easily understand that this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 elements. And you are printing it. So first of all, 23 will be printed. Now, when it will go back, I will be automatically incremented by 1. It will it will switch over here. So LST will take, pehla LST value will be 23. Second LST value will be 87. And you are printing LST. So 87 will be printed because now again you are executing print statement. So your cursor will automatically shift to next line and the value will be printed. After that, again 11 and so on. So when it is 2, that means I will become 4 actually. That is inside a story, but you should know it. And when I becomes 4, then the 2 will be printed and automatically control will be thrown outside the loop. You don't have to do it. So that's why for loop is very easy, as well as it gives us lots of facility. It's a very nice feature of any programming language. So in this example, the variable takes each value from the list LST 1 by 1. So that I will explain. Now this example is for string, because all the objects we should discuss for all of them. So this is, I have skipped tuple because they are same. So instead of TPL, I would have written and everything would have been same. So I'm not taking list and tuple are basically, you know the difference. What is the basic difference between them? And this example is for carrying out iteration. We are trying to iterate over a list of strings. Now we have taken fruits and this is equal to, now strings are written in like this, square bracket. And because these are fruits, definitely the items will be a string type. So this is a string constant, apple, banana, cherry. So we have written them in double quotes. Why? Because string constants are always written in double quotes. So which will be the first value taken by your variable, and we call it as running variable also. Running variable, or sometimes it is also called as index variable. Okay. So for fruit in fruits, for fruit in fruit. So tell me, what is this fruit here? What is this fruit here? In earlier, this we have taken here, I. That is my first. We have taken I, right? So here I, you have understood, same is being replaced by fruit here. So don't get confused. This is our running variable, fruit. So fruit have first value, fruit in fruits. So fruit is your running variable in, so on which sequence, so sequence, on which sequence, so sequence is our string, and on a string whose name is fruits. Okay, so fruits are written, and then fruit, so fruit will hold the value, the per at the time of first iteration, which value fruit will hold? Apple. So we are trying to print it, so it will print apple. Then in next iteration, fruit will take value banana, so it will print banana. In third iteration, it will take value cherry, so cherry will be printed. If you get confused, I mean, if you are not comfortable with fruit and fruits, so better you write I here. For I in fruits. Okay, then print, don't write fruit then. You have to write I, because I is holding the value of apple, banana, and cherry then. So you will have to write print I. So whatever you want to, you can. Now simple for loop, iterate over string. Now my, just character type batane ke liye. So my string is a variable, and which type of variable is it? It is a string variable. Now, in this variable, we have stored a value hello, HELLO. So for character in, so character we have taken as our index variable. So this is our running variable in my string. So character in first iteration, it will take the value H. In second iteration, it will take E. In third, L. In fourth, L. In fifth, O. So print char. So every time it will print 1111 HELLO. Actually, yes, you can see HELLO. Okay. Now, why is it so? I've written hello in double quotes and only one character. So when you define character, so actually how string gets stored in memory, always character by character. To adjacent locations, those characters are placed. So for us, it is hello, but for computer, it is H at first place. That byte is reserved, that memory space is reserved, and in next byte, E will be there, in very next byte, L will be there, then L, then L. So actually, they are occupying 1 byte memory location adjacent to each other. And therefore, it is possible to take that value and directly put it here. Otherwise, कैसे possible होता? Print char. So we are taking 1, therefore we have taken, you can take anything, matlab, with char, don't get confused. It's not, keyword, it is a index variable. So you can even write I here, but then print I you write here. So character by character, that means this letter by letter, it will go on switching over, and then the value will be taken by char, and then it will be taken. Now next, this is the program for range. So if the range is like, you want to iterate over a range of numbers from 1 to 10. See, you want to iterate from 1 to 10. Now, when you want to iterate from 1 to 10, then you are taking a range for number. Now again, number is an index variable or that iteration variable. They call it as iteration variable. So, but simplicity, I will call it as index variable or running variable. So number is a running variable. Now what is our sequence? It is range. Range is also a sequence, because when you are writing 1 to 11, it will start from 1 and continuously it will go on changing its number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now we are trying to print the current number. Let's see what gets printed. So what do you think what should get printed? Because first value is 1. So 1 will be printed. Then it will automatically shift to next in the sequence. So in the sequence, next is 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. Here it will stop. So always remember that it is always less than 1 less than this. It is always 1 less than this. Because by default, we have purposely started with 1. So it is taking value 1. But by default, in other cases, it will always take value 0. So intentionally, you have changed the initial number, initial value, which is being held by your number variable. So therefore, it will print 1, no doubt, but then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it will stop. Because when we say 0 to 9, so actually 0 to 9, it means 0, it is 10. Okay, then print, sorry. Yes. Now this is same type of, but I just wanted to make you aware of that in this particular, we have taken a range from 0 to 21. Here we have taken range from 1 to 11. So you can always start with any value and you can end in a range. You can end with any value, but your initial value should always be less than the final value. Initial range value should be less than the final. And here it is 0 to 21. That means first value will be
0, which will be assigned to number. So number will take value 0. But what is this third parameter doing here? This is increment. So by default, this is optional in this case. Comma 1 likha hua hai 1 there. But the comma 1 is not working because there is no need. By default, bhi wahi hone wala hai. So why to write there comma 1? But here we want to skip from 5. We want to make a jump of 5. So if you are starting with 0, the first value will be 0, and then 5 will be printed, then 10 will be printed, and the next will be 15, and after 15, 20 will be printed, and then it will come out. So this is incremental value. If you want to print all odd numbers here, so 0, then suppose if I have started with 0, 1, 2, 4. Okay, if you want to print even numbers, then what will you do? You will write here 2. As soon as you write here 2, you can try this. After executing this program, just change this value. So you will find 0, 2, 4, 6, 8 up to 20. After 20, it will come out. Now, if I want odd numbers, I will start this. You start this with 1 and write 2 here. Okay, so 1, 21 and 2. So in this case, 1, 3, 5, 7, but it will go up to 20 because 21 is also odd. So after 21, it will come out. Yes. Now, here what we are doing, only single you will find this range, only one number. So range is also written like this. So when you write a single number, that means the range of numbers are from 0 to 4. As I told you that it always by default starts with 0. So 5 you want, the 5 iterations you want, so it will go from 0 to 4. If you write 10 here, then it will go from 0 to 9. So total iteration will be 10. So this is number of iterations. Basically, this is number of iterations. Now print the current number. What should be the current number? The first number is, it will start with 0. So it will 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 times it has iterated and then stop. If you are writing 10 here, then from 0 to 9 it will print and then it will stop. So this is how, if you write only 5, then what a single digit, then it is number of iterations. Now, key takeaway, use when sequence is known in advance. And for loop, they are concise, commonly used for list, tuple, string, range, etc. So now you are very much familiar with this. And now, so I don't know whether you like this habit of mine or not. Oh, what happened? Yes. Now, in this, for each item in sequence, last item is, if true, then you have to come out. It will throw you outside of the loop. If not, then don't do anything. Whatever you, whichever statements you have written in for loop, they will be executed, and again it will go for checking. Is last item reached? If false, then again this is how the loop will. And if true, then it will come outside the loop. Then nested loop. Not sure whether I should take nested loop or not, but let me try. Hopefully you can understand it. So purpose of nested loop, actually mainly we use it for dealing with the matrices. They are n by m or n by n. So two-dimensional. Now, so for managing both the dimensions, we use nested loop preferably. So nested loop, they are loops within loops. So outer side there will be one loop, and if you write one more loop next to this, then the first one becomes the outer sequence loop, and the inner one will be the inner sequence loop. So only this is there, but it will, how will it get executed? So it will take first value of this, then it will go inside this, and then take first value of this. This statement will be executed, then it won't go out in the outer loop. It will again increment this, again it will be executed for till the end is reached, and then again it will go back to outer. Now it will go to next item, and then for that item, again these loops will be executed till inner sequence reaches to end. And this is how it gets executed. So outer sequence is the outer sequence to iterate over inner sequence, and you know. Let's see example. Example sometimes helps in understanding in a better way. So nested for loops, just simply we will try to print. So for I, now what is I? Running variable or where iteration. In, now in will work only on sequence, and sequence is range here. And in, because 3 you have written, that means outer loop will be executed how many times? 3 times. And I have written 2, the second inner loop will be written just below it, and J will be executed how many times? 2 times. And now we are trying to print F, you know very well, format string. And because of this, value of I will be printed and value of J will be printed, and they are being placed in curly bracket. So in first iteration, outer is 0. You have gone to inner. So inner 0, but it will not come out. It will remain outer 0, but inner will be 1. Now 0, 1, because it has to iterate only 2 times. Fine, it will go outside, then out, 0 is over. Now it will take the next number, that is 1. Then again inner will start with the beginning, 0. Outer again 1, but the inner is not completed, so outer will remain same, inner will change. So inner 1, second time iterate. And after this, again, it will go back, and outer will take value 2. So 0, 1, 2, 3 times it has executed. And now inner will be, again it will take the value 0, but it will iterate only 2 times. So again 0, and then it will remain same, inner 1. So inner loop is iterating 2 times, you can see, and outer loop has iterated 3 times, 0, 2 times for 1, and 2 times for 2. So this is how it gets executed. Because simply I wanted to make you aware of nested loop or loops, so you don't have to worry. But I hope you have understood a little bit. So we use this for managing matrices. So there's no ready-made thing is available, and we have to manage the matrix operations using for loop in our program. So this is how it is managed. I we take for rows, and J we take for columns. And then multiplication, addition of matrices, whatever we want to do with it. Key takeaway, useful for complex iterations over multiple sequences, and it can definitely increase complexity. So use sensibly.